halfway through reading the play, which is the basis of the libretto, the first time before I realized that this was not a French word. I thought it must be the French word for island, but actually it's a regional dialect pronunciation of the word O-I-L, oil. It takes place on a whaling ship in the 1890s, and it's the story of a psychotic captain and his pursuit of the thing that he holds most dear. It seemed to me right from the beginning the story had all of the elements of a compelling opera and a compelling drama. It has tension, conflict, character development, and just a really interesting setting, I think. The main characters are Captain David Keeney and his wife, Mrs. Keeney. Mrs. Keeney is also on board the ship. Anyone who knows about the sort of traditions of being at sea knows it's very unusual, at least it was at one time, for a woman to be on a ship. It was considered bad luck. And the other characters are all the men on the ship. The only female character is the captain's wife, Mrs. Keeney. And the second mate is the one character besides Mrs. Keeney who's loyal to the captain. And all of the other men are at least flirting with the idea of mutiny and taking control of the ship. And that's the main plot thread for the first 2/3 or so of the piece. It seems to me that the themes in this piece and in pretty much any good theater are timeless. The relationships between the characters, between husband and wife, between co-workers, it just so happens to be in this kind of unusual setting, but it seems to me that the themes are really more universal, and I like to think that anyone can find things to enjoy in my music, and writing operas is one of the things I love to do best, because I love to tell a story with music.
My name is Kevin Garza, and my piece is called What We Learn in Between, and it deals with a 22-year-old man named Richter, who's just graduated college, and he's thrust headforward into the real world, and that's what the opera deals with. The main thing I wanted to accomplish was that understanding the world comes in segments. The segments aren't always linear as such. A CEO would learn something different than a high school student. But all of them all converge on one matter, and that's to understand the world as it is. It was a topic that was interesting because it's one of those broad fields that kind of touches on every little thing, I suppose. There's medications for this, and medications for that, and mainly I think we touch upon like medications for depression, because since one of the characters thinks he has that, but that's not always true. So it was very interesting to think about, because you could do anything with pharmaceuticals, and they could relate to a lot of different things, and that's kind of where we were going for. And I always, when I write with like a character sort of basis, that I want an audience member to relate to at least one of them. And so it was very tricky to make sure that they're believable and real, and people that you would normally meet every day. So each of the characters learns something. Like Andy learns, for example, that he, I guess the same reason as Joseph, that money can't save everything, and it shouldn't be your basis. And, yeah, you might be in debt someday, but I mean, you'll still find a way to make things work. We're all united in some way, I suppose. So I remember asking around all these people, like saying, if you could say anything to the world, what would it be? And they all came with all these different responses. And the main thing I took away from that was, we all think about those things. We all think about what's going to happen to us later in life, and it's a big deal. It's a very big deal, and I think that a lot of us are secretly kind of scared about it. And I guess it's something I'm going to touch on a bit.
So I'm Eric Lindsay, and my opera is called Cosmic Reign of the Amazing Chris. And it takes place at Comic-Con, which is the large convention in San Diego each year that has millions of people around film and manga and television all coming together. And a big part of Comic-Con is the whole cosplay aspect of it. So people coming in character of the favorite characters from shows or comic books. And so we thought it would be a really neat opportunity to address what is it that goes on in this world and what are some dramatic opportunities that tap there. The thing that I really wanted to capture in the work was blending of many different worlds together. And so one thing that's kind of fun with the narrative conceit of the work is that part of it takes place within this costume contest at Comic-Con, and also part of it takes place within the comic book world of some of the characters that the people at Comic-Con are dressing up as. And so it gives me a neat opportunity to engage these couple different stylistic tropes that set these worlds apart. So the ones that take place within a comic book all have this 1960s Spider-Man, Superman, the Amazing Hulk kind of film scory qualities to it, which all have this kind of lounge lizardy vibe to it. One of the main things we were trying to capture in this work was that it is a 21st century opera. And so the experiences of the main characters that we follow three friends who are now in their early mid-20s. The main one, Chris, is our primary lead, is floundering a bit in life. He finishes his degree in English. There's no opportunities for him out of school. And it's kind of this disillusioning factor that many 20-something millennials are all experiencing for the past decade or so, which is these old ways of approaching their work, approaching the world. These old structures are falling at the same time that there's a whole bunch of exciting new things taking their place, but you kind of got to discover it for yourself. There isn't one path that gets you there. And Chris, who's the lead, is stuck with this idea of there needs to be a model for him to follow, which is why he kind of models his life after this comic book character. And it's throughout the course of this opera that he kind of realizes that there are limitations to that, and this hero worship doesn't get him far, kind of alienates himself from his friends. And it's him kind of coming into his own as an entrepreneur and figuring out kind of what kind of life he wants to make for himself is part of what the whole thing's about. So I think it's something that we can all kind of relate to, especially right out of school, but at any stage really, which is what direction are you heading and how reflective are you about that direction that you're going. And also being a 21st century opera was play with this idea of rethinking opera. So the tradition of opera with the large budgets and the costumes and the huge pit, for people coming into that for the first time can be a little alienating, a little bit like, what is this crazy, why are they singing like that? It's very distant from their real experiences. And we thought a fun way of playing with that, engaging that grand opera tradition and playing with that convention was to set it, with this cosplay community, which to everyone else it seems like, why are these grown-ups dressed up as, it's not Halloween, why are you dressed up like that, and why are you so serious about it? But there is something that is so, yes, this is a very serious thing that we're doing, and don't mess with me, I am this person right now, and this is the world that's happening right here. And so, by kind of reframing it in this new way, I thought it was a neat sort of thing for new people to engage in opera, and kind of think about those contexts being similar.